Hello, and welcome to Hazing Prevention Training for Student Organizations at the University of South Carolina. There are three main areas we're going to cover to help you as a student organization leader. We'll start with how hazing is defined at the University of South Carolina, after which we'll discuss the negative impacts of hazing, and lastly we'll cover strategies to address hazing that may be currently taking place and what organizations can do to reduce the possibility that hazing could occur. First, we will discuss how hazing is defined at the University of South Carolina. Our university has a policy which outlines the definition of hazing for our campus, and it includes examples of activities that meet this definition. We'll review each component of this policy throughout the video. Take a moment to read through this entire section of the hazing policy. This language states the characteristics which are used to make up the university's definition of hazing. This next part of the policy provides additional examples which constitute hazing, including requiring new members to run errands or drive for active members or others. Read through the rest of the examples to make sure you have a clear understanding of the types of activities which are considered hazing. This section of the policy outlines initiation ceremonies and what shall not constitute a defense to the charge of hazing. There are often misconceptions around these, so it is important that you read through this so that you know what is factual. It is important to remember that as a student, we recommend reporting hazing anytime you're aware of it. In situations where there is immediate danger, please first call the University Police Department. To report hazing, you can file an incident report through the Office of Student Conduct or call the hazing hotline. Upon learning about the definition of hazing on our campus, some student organization leaders began to question whether or not an activity their organization requires of new members could constitute hazing. If you're currently considering that question, take a look at the list on this slide. These questions are good starting places, and as outlined, if you answer no to any of these questions, it is likely hazing. While this is not a definitive list to determine if an activity or practice is hazing, it can be a helpful guide to start. In this next section, we will discuss the impacts of hazing for various parties involved, including the individual being hazed, those who are responsible for hazing, and the organization in which this occurred. Different types of hazing have different levels of severity. However, all hazing is problematic. The following list provides some negative outcomes an individual who is being hazed may face. If you have been hazed, you may identify with many of the impacts listed. However, if you were hazed and did not feel some of these items, it does not mean that others also will not. Hazing can cause serious harm to an individual's well-being and must be prevented. Continued on this slide are additional impacts on those experiencing hazing. If the concern of harming someone's well-being is not enough to prevent hazing, consider the impact on someone found responsible for hazing. Read through the bulleted list and consider some of the repercussions individuals can face. Not only does hazing cause harm to the individual being hazed and those responsible, the organization will also likely face repercussions. This can include loss of recognition as an organization, the payment of significant civil damages, loss of reputation, and at its core, an erosion of understanding among members for why the organization was started to begin with. To conclude this training, we will provide you with a few steps your organization can take to address any hazing that is currently occurring and to reduce the possibility of hazing occurring in the future. If you have learned through this training that planned organization activities constitute as hazing, use the suggested list on the slide to address the hazing and stop it from happening. If the activities are a tradition or ingrained in the culture of your organization, we acknowledge that stopping this behavior will be difficult. However, it is your role as a leader of the organization to stop it from happening. Your actions will be crucial to the well-being of all parties involved and the organization as a whole. If you have reached the end of this presentation and are confident neither your organization nor its members engage in hazing of other or new members, this is a very good thing. Know, however, that you still have a responsibility to prevent it from happening during your time with the organization and beyond. Members of organizations oftentimes do not have an innate desire to haze, but they are often placed in situations where they can exert power and authority over new members. By creating an atmosphere where new members are on more of a level playing field with active members, fewer opportunities to haze will exist. While traditions are great to have as organizations, if you and other officers show a willingness to amend traditions when they no longer serve a need, you are demonstrating to members an organizational culture that is open to new ideas and not set on only doing things because they've always been done. Within your organizational culture, be open to encouraging members to voice their feedback about the new member process. This could happen in a number of different ways, such as dialogue during new member meetings, a Garnet Gate form to collect feedback, or even one-on-one conversations between new members and leaders of the organization. The development of relationships between new members as a group, as well as the integration of those new members with active members, is an important part of organizations. Consider implementing activities that create bonding and closeness in ways other than hazing. This could be participation in the university's challenge course, community service such as service Saturdays, or even intramurals or other athletic competitions at the Wellness and Fitness Center. Thank you for attending the Student Organization Hazing Prevention Training. In conclusion, we covered how hazing is defined at U of SC, identified the negative impacts of hazing, and lastly, covered strategies for preventing hazing within your organization. If you have additional questions about this topic, please reach out to us in the Leadership and Service Center.